Hello, everyone. My name is Alok. I work at Zarantech. This program right now we have is Workday HCM Masterclass. It's not your typical just Workday HCM training and that's it. There is more to this program than after the training itself, we cover certification, we cover job readiness program, we cover a full-fledged capstone project where you apply all your knowledge, what you've learned through the training program of the 36 or 40 hours. We also guide you how to take the certification, how to go about with the certification. We also show you the Workday community, how to access community, how to work around in the community because you're new to this. On top of that, yeah, there's a lot of learning you do in this program. It's a 60-hour program. It goes for about 8 weeks, but you get tenant access for 3 months on this program. It's a very, very detailed program, end to end. During this class, during this session, we would like all of you to stay on mute. If you have any question, please park it for when the trainer asks you questions. But you can always post your questions in the chat. There are three ways you can post your questions. You can post it in a Q&A or chat, and then we'll be answering all those questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop.
Thank you so much, Alok, for the quick introduction and overview about the program. But I'm going to deep dive that what we are going to see, how the training is planned, what all things we are offering, what scenarios we are going to bring as part of Workday training. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I am associated with Workday ecosystem from past 15 years, wherein I've worked for customer, partners, and currently I'm associated with one of the pharmaceutical implementation program where I'm implementing Workday for 120 countries. So just a quick intro about me. When it comes to my certification, I am HCM certified, report writer, then performance, security, and I've also done talent and performance. So a quick overview about myself, and then we will see what we have for. So as you see, you might have heard the concept called Workday training, but when you see what we are referring, we are saying that it is Workday HCM Masterclass training. So what does Masterclass stands for? That's what we are going to see in a bit. But since Masterclass is a combination of your concepts, which is associated with the live environment where all the business scenarios, complex requirement, how to check with the stakeholders, and then how to implement that requirement in non-production environment. So yes, let's kickstart with yes. So when we say Workday HCM Masterclass, what does that mean? So as I given you a quick intro about it, that it is going to be an intensive Workday HCM training where we are going to bring the implementation orientation program. So what does an implementation means? We have heard that, okay, there is a two type of opportunity what we are looking out for. One can be working at implementation project and other on Workday support project. So when we say implementation means we are going to learn the concept from the scratch. So imagine as an organization using a legacy HCM application, and that organization wanted to go for implementation of Workday. So how one should kickstart the journey with Workday, what all processes it is going to come. Are we going to have discovery session? Then we are going to have requirement. Then we need to understand how the entire organizational setup is done. And then based on the requirement, we will do a testing and then share the testing environment with the end user to give us the go ahead. Okay, so that is what we are going to cover when we say Workday HCM Masterclass. So the course is designated to mirror real-time enterprise deployment. So what does a real-time enterprise deployment means? Yes, we are going to cover the concept so that you are aware what all concepts comes from Workday, but on top of it, we are also going to associate same concept with our real-time scenarios. That as an organization, I know the concept, but how I am going to use those concepts to build the application, end-to-end application for the end user. So we are going to see that. Then yes, when I say we need to go for an implementation, so obviously implementation has to be aware of the structures, how the organization can be built into the system. Then there are a lot of other concept which has to be covered, and we are going to see that in part of our training. Then we will see the real-time scenarios, how an organization can be built, then what is the life cycle of the worker. So when a participant or as an applicant, I am joining the organization or applying for a job. For applying from the job, I go for interview. For interview, I've been shortlisted. And from shortlisting, I go for a hire. And during hire, we talk about a lot of different things that we are going to cover here. The curriculum is aligned with Workday Implementation Specialist responsibility, where we say that we will going to have a requirement session. Then we will going to present to a stakeholder that the discovery session, where we'll give them a quick overview of about the concept. That's where the stakeholder will understand and give us the requirement, because stakeholder might be using some other application. And obviously, when I bring Workday's concept to my stakeholder, if stakeholder is not aware of the concepts of Workday, then it becomes very difficult to get the requirement. And the success to any implementation lies around the implementation and getting the correct requirement. That's what we have to do as part of our discovery session. From there, we will start, and then we will continue with our configuration, UAT, then testing, then go live. We will cover all the entire life cycle of Workday implementation when it comes for any organization. Yes, then what we are going to have as part of our roadmap. You see that we have segregated our roadmap into 4 segments. So the first segment is very important to understand. How are we going to go about the implementation? What approach we are going to follow? You might have seen different application has different ways of implementation. And since here we are talking about Workday, so obviously we have to make sure that what is the right approach to do the implementation. So we will cover that part in our segment 1, where we talk about the fundamental setup of organization. So imagine implementing any environment or any application for the customer. So the basic requirement is the foundation. How are we going to set up the foundation? So foundation in Workday revolves around organizational setup. How are we going to group our workers into the organization? So you might have seen that there are organization like company, there is cost center, there is business unit, there is region. So if you see, what are these? These are group of worker coming for different set of departments. So when I talk about finance, they say that, okay, for us, cost center and company is method. When I talk about management hierarchy, HR partner will say that for us, management hierarchy is very important. So you see, different set of department are asking for different organizations. So that is what we are going to do as part of our foundation part. Then the framework part, where we are going to cover the staffing. So yes, we have done the foundation of our organization. Then how are we going to staff them? Each organization has their own way of staffing the employees into the organization. Yes, if you might have worked for more than 2 entities, so you might know the difference. One organization says we will roll out the offer or we will complete the hire in 20 days. Another organization says, okay, for us, hiring is very quick and we are going to complete the hire in 10 days. So you see what happens in those 20 days and 10 days. There are a lot of processes which are involved, and each of these processes varies from organization to organization. And if we are not able to understand these processes, then the implementation may not head in the right direction. Then, yes, we understood the framework. The third segment is configuration. Now, I know the methodology. I know how I'm going to come up with the organization setup. Then I know how I'm going to do the staffing of my employees in the organization, where I can hire external people. I can even go for internal people. So we will see that how we are going to do that. But all of these things are functionally there, where I'm getting the requirement. But when I'm not putting all of these requirement into a configuration, because configuration is where the entire setup is revolving around. So how are we going to do the configuration part, where we are going to hire a different set of employees coming from finance, coming from marketing and sales, coming from tech. So all of these organization employees are getting hired into a different process. They have a different hierarchy. They have a different setup. If I talk about the security access. So manager will have a different access than an employee, same with the people partner and same for the payroll partner. So we are going to do that configuration in phase 3. Then, yes, here I talked about the methodology. Here I'm talking about the staffing. Then here I did the configuration. But what if I am not able to retrieve the data for my analysis or to do the analysis? Then the whole point of implementation will not be hold true, because in world it's what data is all about doing the analytics. I wanted to see what is my iteration rate. I wanted to see how many employees are getting promoted or what is the average compensation given to the employee. So there are all of these data which is needed for the analytical team to do that part. So we are also going to cover the analysis part of it. So if you see that we are starting with the implementation, then with the framework, doing the configuration, and we are finishing with the analysis. So all these frameworks we are going to cover in 60 hours. As I mentioned, the session is going to be divided into 2 parts. First, we are going to cover the fundamentals of HCM. And then in the second half of the session, we are going to use those fundamental concepts into a business case, that how we are going to leverage all our concept to make sure that the customers' requirement are being understood, and then we will use all these segments to do the implementation of the Workday application. Yes. Okay, there is a question. Can you let me know if all these steps are part of HCM module? Yes. So when you say this segment are part of HCM module, where you start with the requirement, then you map those requirement, which is business process engineering, and then you talk about the configuration, and then you go for the implementation. So all the 4 segments what are listed here are part of the HCM training. Okay, so okay, I think the response has already been given, that why it is different than the HCM training. So HCM training, if you go with Workday for getting the training, then they take 16 hours and they say, okay, our fundamental is clear. But they are not there where they are not going to give you any business cases. That okay, this is the requirement. Now how are you going to go about it? How are you going to leverage community? Because Workday is very integrated application. So when you go for the implementation, you need to know where is the right resources are available. Resources is important. Second, if the resource is there, then how are you going to use them? So how to access community, how to go about checking the information, where to find the documentation. And third, important part, you know the concept, but you want to bring those concepts into a reality. So here in masterclass, training is done, and the second phase where we are going to understand that there is a setup required or there is an existing Workday application. If I ask you to come up with some new program, or maybe that organization is acquiring a new entity of 200 employees, for an example, and I'm asking you, okay, hire those 200 employees in Workday. How are you going to do that? You know the concept, but sometimes if I'm not giving you a business scenario, if I'm not assisting my business scenarios into a real case, then it becomes really tough for one to go for the implementation. And that is what we came up with this program, where we are saying that this is a master class where we are bringing concepts, configurational skills into a business cases. Yep. Okay.
I also want to add something. The person who asked this question about HCM, most of you who are coming for this training program, I understand, are either moving from being a recruiter or HR person or HCM consultant, maybe like a PeopleSoft, Oracle, SAP SuccessFactors, or SAP HR HCM. You are moving from that field to coming into Workday, because this is the point where you start in Workday. Now, when you're doing that, obviously you're not going to be working for a customer or partner company of Workday, because that's you want to, but you're not yet. So you won't even have an opportunity to work or take Workday's training itself, because those are only open for their employees, customers and partner employees. So there is no option for you to get a training from Workday. Even there is no option for you to even go get certified. You know how when you are looking for the jobs in the market, they say you have to be certified. But then to be certified, you have to have a job first. So this infinite cycle or infinite loop you're stuck in, that we break that loop. We are an outside company. We are not associated. If somebody says, "Hey, Zarantech is associated with Workday as a partner company," no, we're not. We are an outside company, Zarantech. We've been in business for 16 years here in the US. We have trained over 12,000 consultants till date, and we provide training which is required to clear the certification, the Workday certification. Our training is, quite better from Workday's training itself. And also another thing I want to tell you is that if you go with Workday's training, and let's say you get an internship job at a company like Accenture, and then they put you through that course of Workday training, Accenture has to pay Workday $6,400 for that training. But if Accenture sends those employees to us, we train them for a very minimal cost, one-fifth of that cost. So that's the difference. But people also ask this question, okay, I took your training. Now, how do I get certified? Because I'm not an employee or a partner company. Well, that's also a very good question. And I'll clear that also. So Zarantech actually partners with a lot of partner companies who are sales, service, testing partner, a lot of different partner companies. And we have the option to get you certified. In fact, outside of Workday, we are the only company which can get you certified through Workday, not through us, through Workday. So we refer you to the partner company. The partner company works with you, the payment for the certification, however they do, and then you get certified through them with our referral. If we don't refer, they don't get you certified because you don't even know who they are. So that's how the whole process works with us. And I can show you some of the examples of how many people have got certified through us. And then to clear the certification, we also have built a platform, which is a simulation platform for those practice test exams. We are the only one which has it. Workday has it too, but it's 20 questions, which are very, very, very simple questions. I don't know what Workday calls it, but something different. So we have that. And because of that platform, we've had over 87% people clear the certification in their first attempt. So that platform also you get access to. So there's a bunch of things you get access. First of all, the biggest reason you should be joining this training is if you don't, you can't get certified. We'll talk about that. So yes, so you can only get certified either working for a customer or partner company as an employee or taking our training. So if you type in Workday training on Google, you'll find probably like 40 companies offering training. None of them offer certification. None of them have the partnership with a partner company. We are the only one which has a partnership with a partner company. We are the only one which has built that pro certification practice test platform. And we are the only one who has got people certified outside of, being employee of a customer or partner company. All right, I hope that clears a lot of things. But as we go along in this demo, we'll showcase and do all of that stuff. Okay.
So yes, so we know that what is needed from this training, what you to expect that yes, we are going to have the entire life cycle of Workday implementation, but then there is a lot of ambiguity that around, am I the right fit for this training? Shall I go for it? Or I'm not from HCM background, or I'm not from configuration background. Is it fit for me? So yes, who is fit for this training? So the participants who are associated with HR professionals are getting into Workday role. Yes, the training is suits for that. Anyone who has dealt with any other ERP application like SAP, SuccessFactors, PeopleSoft, and they wanted to shift their module journey from any other application to Workday. Yes, this is for that. People who is working with as a business analyst or maybe doing an HR operational related work where they are using Workday only as an end user, but here we are going to configure the application. So those participants can also be fit for this training. Yes, people who are pretty fresh, looking out for an opportunity. Obviously, they don't have any background. So for them, it is best suited where they are not coming with any experience, and then they can take this part. Project managers, architects, and integrations or team who are associated with analytics can go for this training. So yes, each one of you can do the assessment whether you fall under the first part, which is like who can take this training. Then the second part is like who this training is not fit for. Yes, there are people like they want pure coding part where they say that, hey, I'm pure coder and I wanted to build something by my own, or I wanted to tweak the Workday application, come up with my own flows design. Then yes, this training is not fit for that person. Or you say that, hey, payroll is my area, or HCM is not my piece, or I'm into more into finance. Then for those, the training is not fit for. Or beginner who is not engaged to do a hands-on practice or doesn't understand the implementation scenario, then this training is not fit for those. So yes, do your analysis to see that in which area you fall under, and then you can decide the path whether you wanted to go with this or you fall under the second
I
part.
also want to jump in and put some answers here for the questions being asked.
Mhm.
I'm a fresher. Does Workday have a job for me or internship job? I'm from India or this and that, right? I'm going to cover India first. If you type in, every one of you here, just type in Workday offices in India. Just type in, go ahead and type in to Google. Workday initiative for 2026, 25, 26 was to open huge offices in India. Workday opened offices in Pune, Mumbai, Chennai. Now, I personally work with about 32 big colleges in India, South India. And one of the biggest colleges, Chennai Institute of Technology, and Workday, Chennai went into that college and hired people for Workday employees because they have to fill about 3,000 or 4,000 positions. So if you're wondering, hey, does Workday have internship jobs? There you go. Especially I get a lot of these questions from Indian folks who reside in India. That this is for you. Workday is opening so many offices. Go through your college and see if Workday has come in, placement officer. Workday has come in for placements, internships, whatever. Accenture also has a lot of internship programs. Customers won't have internship programs. It's always the partner companies which will have it. So customers will want consultants who are certified. Okay. Now, with us, the benefit is you can start your career as a recruiter. I mean, let's say somebody said they have a career here as a recruiter for 10 years. What would be your roadmap? It's very simple. Being a recruiter, obviously you have a very good understanding of HR process. This would be the perfect fit for you. So you take the training, you learn what is what, get certified, because Workday or customer company or partner companies, they put a lot of weight on you being certified. So once you get certified, you get that upper hand as to get the job, right? And then with our training program, with this extra 22 hours we have added, you learn the whole cycle, implementation cycle, how this whole thing, what you learn, works in the actual system. So there is a capstone mock project you do end to end. You can talk about that project on your resume. And then you also get certified. So that's another big deal for a customer or partner company. And then you also have knowledge on the community. You have a tenant access, and then put all of that on your resume to get that job. You will be preferred over any other fresher because you've done all of this stuff. Now, a couple of people here have asked this question to us. Are you guys also doing placement? No, we are not a placement company. We are not even a staffing company. We're only a training company. We train employees of customers, partner companies. I mean, we train quite a lot we train for Wipro, we train for TCS, we train for LTI Mindtree, we train for Genpact, we train for Micron, Freshworks, all of these companies, we train their employees on Workday upskilling. Upskilling is our bigger one, is where we train quite a lot of people in the company to upskill into something else. When it comes to freshers and colleges, we also do that. So remember, I just told you, I have a big association with a lot of colleges and placement officers in South India. So we work with colleges, have programs there, and then through them, they have their own placement program. They place people. But we are not a placement company. We're not even a staffing company, nothing. All we do is training and get you ready to that point where you can take your interviews and clear your interviews.
When we say that, yes, I am part of the first segment where I am entitled to go for this training. So obviously there has to be a bit of eligibility and recommendation background where if yes, I am fit, I say that yes, I am part of HCM. So obviously you need to have a bit of background about it where the fundamental understanding of HR concepts like hiring, transfer, promotion, termination. So if I combine, I say that as a staffing process, that how an organization is going to hire an employee. Okay, what are the protocol for promoting an employee? Or if there is any termination, what all things one has to consider while terminating an employee. So again, theoretical information, if you are familiar with the theoretical concept, yes, it is needed because we are learning HCM, which is Human Capital Management. Then the concepts like job roles, what is my roles and responsibility, then how these roles and responsibilities are associated with the compensation. So very good example here. Let's say I'm working as an analyst. So obviously my role will come with some sort of compensation, minimum and maximum, where in Workday's terminology, I can say this is a grade. If I'm working as a director, so obviously even director will have the cap of minimum and maximum. So yes, one at least should be aware that yes, each job is associated with the compensation. Then when I am going to go for a compensation increase for an employee, then yes, it is not only manager driven. There are set of people who are part of approving process. And once everyone approves, then only the raise in the salary can be taken or considered. Then yes, since we are also going to talk about the mass loading of the data. So when I say mass loading, the concept like Excel, CSV, how do I bring my report into an analysis? So a bit of understanding of Excel is needed. Yes, the second part is preferred but not mandatory. So if you come from any prior experience with any other cloud application or any prior HCM application wherein you can come from Oracle, PeopleSoft, SuccessFactors, yes. People who are ready to take more or understand the concept that yes, I can take more, I can understand, though I come from different background, but yes, I have a capability to understand the fundamentals of the HCM. Yes, very welcome. Then as I mentioned, we are not going to work as an end user. I am not going to work that I'm going to approve or hire an employee. I am going to build the background processes, that how a process looks like, how the hiring process can be completed. Once the process is completed, how should I create a report? So, and when we do all of these, we need sort of a testing exposure where we say that, yes, I can do a testing from my side, which is unit testing in say, and then once I'm satisfied with my testing, then I'm going to give handover to my end user that, hey, end user, now this is the application what I have built. Do the testing as per your business case, and then let us know if there are any queries or concerns. And then one should also understand the workflow, because here I'm not talking about simply updating the data as a data entry guy. I'm talking about the processes. So each organization has their own ways of working. So if I talk about company A and company B, let's say they both are using Workday ecosystem for managing their people's information, but the process varies from organization to organization. Really good example, if company A's hiring says that I'm going to take 4 interviews, company B will say we take 2 interviews and we go for it. When I say 4 interviews and 2 interviews, there has to be some configuration which is done at the systems side, so that system gives you an opportunity that yes, now you are hiring from, let's say if I'm hiring an employee for India and I have my office sitting in US also. Obviously, the hire process of US will be different. So if I am not aware of the workflow, the fundamentals of processes, then it might be a challenging part for me to get into it. But when I understand that, yes, the processes varies from location, from profile, then it becomes important for one to understand the fundamentals. Moving ahead, yes. Now we talked about the fundamentals, background, what staffing model, segments, but how are we going to start with the process? As I mentioned, there is a lot of ambiguity around, okay, is it simple HCM or is it going to be a business scenario? Yes, what we are going to do here, as I mentioned in first segment, that we are going to come up with a implementation methodology. Obviously, if as I mentioned, there are two types of opportunities. One can work when they say I'm a Workday consultant. One can start with a support consultant, but in support environment, you are supporting the existing application. Here we are going to follow an implementation methodology. So the implementation methodology comes up with getting the requirement, understanding the fundamental, mapping the requirement with the organizational setup. Once you are done with the organizational setup, then we are going to go for the staffing, workforce management, how an employee is going to hire into an organization, how the job profile will vary from country to country. We are going to bring that in the staffing part of it. Then when I say hiring an employee, it has to come up with a business process. I cannot simply say that, okay, I like this person and hire into the organization. Any hiring or any process, let's say applying for time off or getting promotion into an organization, should associate with the business process. In simple terminology, business process is Workday's keyword, but you can also associate with the workflow. Each action in an organization is associated with the workflow, which is a business process. Once we have a business process in the system, obviously the people who are going to have hire into the organization should be associated with the compensation, correct? If I'm hiring an employee in India, should get INR. If I'm hiring an employee in USA, should get USD as a salary. So how are we going to distinct that with the configuration of compensation into substance? Because compensation is very important part here. When I say compensation, I'm talking about money going out from organization. So we need to know that how that money is being shared with the employee. Is it the person is right person to get that much of salary? We do that part. Again, there is a lot of background regarding compensation, that who decides the benchmarking of the position. So there are different organizations who says that, okay, if you're hiring Workday consultant of 2 years, then this could be the ranges. If you are hiring Workday consultant for 10 years of experience, then there is a cap which is associated. All such background information we are going to cover when we talk about the compensation, because obviously the word compensation is very crucial. Whenever we hear compensation, it becomes very important to understand how this compensation can bring into a reality into the process. Very important part, though I'm talking about very crucial information. Here I'm talking about compensation. Then in staffing, I'm talking about personal information. Obviously, every employee will not be able to see all the data coming from their reportees or there. So how are we going to restrict them? We are going to restrict them with the fundamental of security. The access of manager, for an example, is not the same as the access of people partner. People partner will have more access than an employee. But obviously in system, because I'm going to, why we are building this application? We are building this application for our end users. There will be a people who are going to use this application, and we will have different set of groups who are going to use the application. We will have normal employees, we will have people partners, we will have compensation partner, we will have payroll partners, recruiter. So how are these people differentiate with their access? That is what we are going to deep dive when we talk about security fundamentals. And we are going to see this from the scratch, how we should build a security in system. Yes, we talked about security. Obviously, without reporting, if I'm not giving you the output, then system is of no use. Because if I talk about sharing the report with the C levels or C-1, they always need the data. They're not going to check every single transaction and say that why this is not being completed. So we are going to deep dive into the concept of reporting, building the report from the scratch. Yes. Now, till here, I see that it is very common. Any Workday HCM training will cover till here. But if you see here, all these 7 steps, we only talked about the concept, foundation stuff. I'm updating it. But what happens when it comes to project and certification? I know I've done this and I say that, hey, boss, go ahead and go for a certification. But obviously, when you go for a certification, you need to have some hands-on experience. Okay. If you're not familiar that, okay, I have the Workday application in the system. Now imagine a scenario. Workday has already been implemented and there is a requirement saying that, okay, now we have acquired an organization of 1,000 employees. Let's onboard all their employees in the organization. So imagine a complexity. You already have a setup in place. Now you are acquiring another organization, which will add up to the complexity of your existing scenario. So how are you going to do the root cause analysis? That if you are hiring a 10,000 more employee, obviously your staffing will change. Your organization setup will change. Business process might be impacted because when I implemented, I only implemented for 2 countries. But the third country, which I'm looking out for UK, obviously the process will vary for UK as well. So imagine a complexity that how are you going to bring an external 1,000 employees in your organization where you don't want your system to be disturbed and you also want these employees to be part of your organization. So how are you going to do that? Imagine the complexity of this project. That's what we are going to cover in end-to-end capstone project, where we will see how to understand the downstream impact. What all things will be impact? If I look at it now, I know the organization setup will be disturbed. Then staffing process will be disturbed. Yes, business process will also impact. Imagine whatever you have learned as a concept, but if you are not bringing the concept into a reality, then it becomes very hard for one to integrate 1,000 employees in an organization. That is what we are going to use our 20 hours into pure business scenarios cases where, okay, I just given you one example, but there are tons of example. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the concept of job catalog. We are also going to see how a job catalog can be part of your application. So job catalog, just to give you a high level overview to understand that why we are going to invest 20 hours or what sort of concept we are going to cover in the additional 20 hours. So job catalog is a really good example. Now you might have seen every organization, they say that, okay, now we want to revamp our compensation structure. We do have an internal compensation structure, but looking at the organizational changes, they want to revamp. And if you want to revamp your compensation structure will always come up with your staffing, your job, what kind of job you do. If you don't, let's say you say that I am working as a intern, or I am working as a extra experienced folks. But if you are experienced folks coming from finance or coming from technology, the ranges would be different. How are you going to associate that into your live environment? That's what we are going to cover in our end-to-end project and certification preparation. Yep. I know there is a lot of questions around this, but I'll take a pause to see that if you have any question, then we will be happy to answer things for segment 8.
Hey, before you jump into that segment 8 and you want to take a pause, do you want me to share my screen? I want to go over the cohort with them.
Yeah, yes, hello, go ahead, please.
All right, now I understand you guys have so many questions and very good questions coming through. First of all, can you see my screen? So how many of you have seen this cohort? If you have not, just say no, because we posted that cohort.
No, we haven't seen.
All right. It's that way, much easier. All right. Because I'm going to go over this and then you will have a much better idea. Okay. Let me just see. All right. There you go. Make it clickable link, please. If you cannot click, just copy it and look at it. Okay. This cohort has everything end to end. Okay. We talk about the program itself. We talk about how we can help you with certification. We talk about the capstone project which we have included as part of this, the job readiness program, access to the community, Workday community, and learning Workday community. These are some of the most important things you have to learn before you even apply for a job or internship, whatever you want to do, right? The path you take to get to staffing is your path. How you get to that and are you prepared for it is what we do. All right. So I'm going to go over this. This first page is just first page. Key highlights. You can go to that section. These are the sections we have as part of this cohort. Okay. You can, this is just reading content. You can just go over this. Program overview. It's a 60-hour program. The total duration is, our cohort was 35 hours. This is a masterclass, end to end. The primary goal is to get you to that point where you can literally answer all the questions from your certification, from your, the training, whatever you've learned, how to apply that into a company. Okay. All of that stuff is covered here. This is the part, this is what we are covering. We also have a cohort where we don't have that other 25 hours. Prerequisites, most of you already fall into that, so I'm not going to go over this, but this is the detailed curriculum. If you want to see module-wise what is covered, it's right here. Every section, you can see the lab list and what is covered, what is not covered. Everything is detailed. So I'm going to scroll over that. And what is provided to you as part of the certification? Here is what it is. So we are, like I said, we are the only path for you if you are not an employee of a customer or partner company to get certified. And I'll show you some examples, some proof, because a lot of times we get this question, can you show us some proof as that you've got people certified, which is fine. And you will also have a very good knowledge on how to use community. Now, what is Workday community? Workday is, as you've already heard, Workday is a closed system. It is not an open system. So you cannot get access to community if you are not an employee or partner, employee of a customer or partner company. So you cannot even learn community. Community is basically a place where there's all kinds of information for learning Workday and more. And knowing that and using that is one of the best things you can do. We can teach you so much, but you will learn a lot more on the community. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to show you, if you are signed up to get certified, you will have full access to Workday community. This is the plan for the cohort. This is the schedule. Certificate. During the certification guidance, what are you going to get? You're going to get this. Obviously, without a partner referral, you're not going to get certified. So all of that stuff. We also have a practice test platform. You'll get access. That's the cost. You can pay through that link. There is payment options also available through that link. You can check out that. Certificate of completion. What is a certificate of completion? Now, don't get confused. There are two things you get. Once you complete our course, you get a certificate of completion from zarantech. It looks something like this. It will have your name. You can actually click a link and post it directly to your LinkedIn account. Now, why is that important? Because, well, you can post it, but because zarantech name is associated with it. And everybody knows what we do and how well we do this. It's got a credential verification and everything. Your future employer can verify this with us, and we'll let them know that you've done a 60-hour class and all that good stuff. So this is it's got a QR code and all that good stuff. So this is a certificate of completion you get from us, not the Workday certification. So don't get confused. Okay, I'll talk about that, the Workday certification here very soon. Okay. You can watch this video. The job readiness program is this. So we help you with how to prepare your resume, what are the things you should be focused on, how to build your resume using an AI tool, there are a lot of stuff we do. Also we have a prompt. If you are already using ChatGPT or Google Gemini or anything. So let's say you get a job and you've already gone through our training program. You have your resume done, you have your LinkedIn profile done, and you get a job interview. You can actually take that description of the JD from the job and your resume and your profile details from LinkedIn, give it to this prompt, and it will ask you all the questions. And based on your answer, it asks the next question. It will prepare you as long as as long as you want, until you reach 8 out of 10 score. It'll start preparing you. And it will not stop until you have like 8 out of 10 score for a continuous 10 questions. That kind of prompt we have, we'll share that with you. And so you don't need somebody to mock interview you. You have a tool which can mock interview based on the JD, your resume, and everything else. And if you don't know the answer, obviously you're going to answer something, and it's going to evaluate that answer and be like, hey, I think you need to answer something like this. So I will be asking those questions here coming, in the next few questions, and I'll ask those questions and I'll see how you're prepared. So you can wait for it to ask the question, answer that, and it'll evaluate. Then you answer another question. So it will keep on going. We'll share that with you too. It's basically a role play type thing. It'll do a role play of an interviewer. So there is resume tips, career path, LinkedIn cheat sheet. Again, the amount of material we prepare is huge. I mean, we prepare LinkedIn cheat sheets, resume cheat sheets, everything. We'll tell you how to build your resume end to end. Again, we tell you how to do it. We don't do it for you. Past learners. So this is one of the best things you can, if you want to get some proof, just click on it. You'll see all the past learners here. We just made a post, so this was a while ago. You can connect to all of these learners and ask them questions. Hey, how was your training? They all posted on their profile. So we just copied that link and posted it here. We talk to them. And these are just the learners who completed our training and got a certificate of completion. You can talk to them, be like, hey, how was your training? How was this? And this is a very small portion of what we have posted, but if you want another 2,000 of them, we can send you that too. So all these students have taken our training program, and you can reach out to them directly. And some of the links we have posted here, you can directly go and ask them the question. Or if you want to, just say, hey, you're also taking that training, and I was just wondering, whatever you want to say. Here is one LinkedIn post we made, and we are very transparent. So we make posts live, and we'll post the link if somebody has given us the permission, saying that, hey, you can share my link, you can talk about me, whatever. Then only we'll do that. So we talked about this girl right here and how 87% of people cleared the certification in first attempt through our training program. So in this, we posted all the details. Then there's a lot of people who commented and then asked all the questions. So you can see that post as well. There is one post we have made, which I want to show you. Yeah, this one. And again, all this information is right here. We made a post. It says, would you risk 800 without any practice? Basically, we are promoting our practice test platform. Okay. A lot of times people don't understand what is this platform. Why should I take that platform? Because it prepares you. It does that mock test with 3 attempts, mock test for any certification you're going for. Here, you're going only for Workday HCM certification. Okay. 1 second. Before this, I want to cover something else. Okay. If you cannot see it, let me know. I'll make it a little bigger. But this is what you're going for. Line number 3. Keep your focus on line number 3. Do not go anywhere from that. Workday has all these certifications. Now, this is an Excel sheet. I made it for our team just to understand. Since you're starting your career, this is the certification. This is the certification guide Workday has. Okay. Now, understand this. Workday offers 2 courses. Workday offers 2 courses. And if you take these 2 courses from Workday, you will be ready to take this certification. Okay. Workday charges, so this 1 course and this 2 course. If you take these 2 courses from Workday, and that if, like I said, you can only come to that if you are an employee of a customer and partner company. So more than 80% of you here are not. That's why you're in this training. But just in case, if you are an intern, you're working for, some company where they have just said, hey, we want to put you through a training program or something like that. This is what the company has to pay Workday, $6,400 just to train you so you can appear for the certification. Now, you can appear for the certification without taking these courses as well. These courses are not mandatory. They used to be mandatory before 2024 November. Now if you are well prepared enough, you can take this certification. Now, what Workday charges, we charge $999 for $6,400. That's why a lot of companies send their employees to us to get trained and get certified. Certification cost is a flat $800. Workday charges 1 credit. Now, again, when I say credit, please understand, Workday works like this. 1 credit equals $800. Okay. So let's say when a customer buys Workday's product, they get so many credits for free. Workday gives them, 10, 15, 20 credits for free or maybe more, so they can get their employees trained, because this costs so much. So this one is 4 credits. This one is 4 credits. So if someone was going through Workday, through a customer or partner company to get certified, their company has to spend 4 plus 4 plus 1 credit, because this is $800, 9 credits to get one person certified. And if they spend that much money, that is 64 plus 800, that's about 7,200. Guess what happens? If the employee leaves, 7,200 walks out of the door. I mean, that much investment goes into an employee to get them certified. And so that's why a lot of companies are like, the trainings are costing way too much with Workday. So we train a lot of their employees to get them certified. Now, you would be asking me this question is like, okay, we are not an employee of a partner company or customer company. So how do we get certified? That's why we are here. We refer you to a partner company. Without us, you don't get no referrals. So that's the only option you have at this point if you want to get certified, Zarantech. Now I'll show you that. So when I went to this post, right, the last one, I opened this one, right? So we made a post, and then what we started doing was we start posting comments of everyone who has got certified through us. You can go through the comment section and see all those people who got certified, their emails, every one of them. And if you want to contact someone, let us know. If they are okay with it, we'll let you contact them. So all these people who got certified posted something about something, saying that, hey, Zarantech did a good job. Abhigyan is our lead. He did a good job. The team did a good job, this and that, whatever. Everything's right here. We work with over 8 different partner companies to get you certified. So, for example, this person posted that they're okay with posting, if somebody wants to contact them, click here, contact them. Some people just don't want their name or post or links or whatever, so we respect that. And just in case there was one time I showed it in a demo session, the person was like, well, you can make this up. I was like, okay, let's do something else. Most of you here use Gmail, right? So I have a label here where I mentioned Workday certification completed. Okay, I'm going to go to that label just to show you. These are all these people who got certified. I mean, the ones I'm tracking right now, okay? See, these are the emails. So we send an email saying that, hey, thanks for completing the training. If you want to start the certification process, this is the whole process. And when the person says this 3 days ago, I passed Workday. No, can everybody see this? Because I tried, I don't make it too big because then I can't fit everything in one screen. So if you can't see it, let me know. I'll make it a little bigger. Can you see it, guys? See it? All of you? Hello?
Yeah, it's readable, Alok.
Okay, awesome. So as you can see, Gaurang Patel said, hey, thanks for certification. And then we are like, hey, Gaurang, congratulations on the certification. If you want to, get the LinkedIn cheat sheet and get started with your resume, all this stuff, we post all that information for them. Again, we are not going to give you a job or find you a job, but we can help you with all the other things. Like that, we have like so many emails. I mean, we have tons of emails, people getting certified. If you want proof, people still don't trust, and then they find out that it gets very difficult to get a job without certification. Now, I'm not pushing for certification. Don't get me wrong. I've been in this field for like 26 years. Certification does not, it's just a badge for us. But in the Workday ecosystem, certification is big. Okay. So if you want to jump into that ecosystem, you have to be certified to get to the next role. And also, certification is not easy. If anybody says that certification is easy, they're lying to you. Certification is not easy. More than 50% of people who pay fail in the first attempt. It's very confusing. And the passing score is 80%. It's not 60%, 67% like SAP. We are very big on SAP. Number 5th in the world on SAP ecosystem. So most followed person in the world in SAP. So I know how SAP works, how Learning Hub works very well. This is nothing compared to SAP. And SAP now has a new certification style where you can have an open book and it's easy. This is not. So you need some type, because if you're putting in $800, you need some type of practice to clear that. We have that too. All I'm trying to say is that we have built this end to end. We've worked on it for like last 8 years, building all of this. All right. So let me go over a little bit more. So you can see all that. If you didn't want to click this, you can click here and go see that. Directly click here and it'll take you to the post. Give me some more time here. Okay, the cost, the schedule, everything is right here. We do corporate training also. Corporate training is our main business. This is what 90% of our business. We work with over 350 customers and SI companies, system integrators, to provide training. We have delivered trainings in over 37 countries. I mean, we offer. Besides Workday, we also offer 450 courses. And we are currently our target, we're building over 90 courses in AI, 90. And our target is to be live with those 90 courses before the end of this year. So this is just, it's not for you, but I'm just showing you. This is our catalog. And these are some of the companies we work with. I mean, we list out everything, very transparent. I mean, just a few we have listed out here. So yeah, that's how the program works. That's how the whole, how we can help you get into Workday and get started. Any questions? I know this will arise a lot of questions. So go ahead. If you have any questions, raise your hand and I'll come to you, ask you questions. Okay, give me 1 second. All right. Because I can't see all this chat you guys are asking, please raise your hand and I'll come to you, unmute and ask your question. That'd be much easier. Could you please do that? All right. Okay, I see your hands raised. All right, go ahead. You are already unmuted. Please ask your question.
Hi, Alok. Thanks for all the information you provided. I just have one question. When you were showing the list of all the certifications, I saw that this is the certification that we are going to have to take now after this course is administrative certification, right? As far as I know, it is the core for administrators, right?
No.
Is that the one?
Just ignore this. This is just courses. These are courses. This is the certification. Your certification is called Workday Pro HCM Core. That's what you're going to qualify for after our training program. What I was just showing you here is this: Workday offers these two courses for that much money, so you can get prepared for this certification. But we already offer these courses. Okay, so you are not gonna go and get the Workday training courses. These are courses. Course. This is the certification. This is the certification you're gonna go for after our training program. Am I clear?
Yes. And is that something like a configurator or an implementer? Does that make you ready for that kind of a role?
Configuration. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that is clear now.
Because if you go for implementer, that is another level. So you have to get an HCM data loading certification to get your implementer ID, and then you can be an implementation consultant for an implementation. I can go into that deep a little bit more, but I just didn't want to touch the implementation part because a lot of people get confused. You know what I'm saying? So that's why.
Okay, tell me something. How different are these two things, configurator and an implementer? Configurator is basically, configuring Workday to suit the customer, right? I was thinking implementer is also pretty much does the same thing.
No.
Alok, can I take this?
Yes, please. I was too excited to answer that question, but go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, sir. Then go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so configurator means you can configure the application. But now the concern here is, what does an implementer do? So implementer is basically for the people who are associated with partner company or working for Workday itself. So implementer means so I am an implementer where I can implement Workday for any customer. So let's say my organization has gotten a project saying that, okay, ABC company wants to implement Workday. So I can implement Workday for that organization without being the employee of that organization. So implementer is only for the partner company, and you can implement Workday for your customer, and I can directly get the access. So the biggest part here to understand, when you are configuring Workday, I can give you access to any environment and you can start doing the implementation or configuration right after the access. But implementers are the one where if I am working on 10 project, I can get my access on 10 project directly. As a customer, you just have to email Workday saying that, okay, this person is working on our project. Can you please enable his implementers access? So I am only implementer. I am not going to be the employee of your organization. So headcount, I am not going to be part of the headcount. Very important part. I will not be paid by your organization, because when I say your organization means customer's organization. So customer will not consider me an employee. They will directly pay to my vendor, who is the provider, and implementer. I can, again, as an implementer, I get additional access, but it is slightly different than the configurator. So 10 to 20% of the access is more when you work as implementer, but as a configurator, you have the access, you are the administrator, and you can configure all the processes. Very good example. Let's say you are an existing customer and now you are saying that I want to implement recruiting module. So recruiting module cannot be implemented by in-house Workday folks. They have to go back to any Workday partner. And then if you are associated with any Workday partner, only that partner will have the access to implement any new module. And to do that implementation, implementer will come in picture. Yeah. I hope, is it clear or it is a bit confusing? I'm happy to take question on this.
Yeah, clear. So basically, implementer is the person who implements the module inside a company, but a configurator is pretty much an employee of the company who configures as needed and probably also supports the users.
So now right? I have a question for you. Okay, let's see if you understood this. Sorry, I have to put you in spot. Okay. a company would have more configurators or implementers? If it is the customer.
Configurators.
Good job.
Configurators, obviously.
There you go. So if there are more configurators, where is more jobs?
Yeah, I see what you're coming at. I understand.
No, I'm just saying because implementation and becoming an implementer comes in a later stage, very late. You have to first become a configurator, work for many customers, and then you can apply to an implementation company because there's only so many implementation partners. You can apply to implementation, and I can give you a list of partner companies as well. And you can apply to the implementation company, get the job, and then you can get your implementer certification and make bigger money. But that's the whole process. But if you're starting your career, only configurator. Clear?
Yeah.
Just to add
Awesome.
on one example, so you have, let's say, around 250 partner companies, but you have 10,000 plus customers. So obviously the proportion of getting a job as a configurator is way higher than the implementer.
Yeah. Way high. Yes, absolutely. Awesome.
True.
Any other questions?
And also salary also depends on that. Right? You are a configurator, you don't make as much as an implementer.
No, this is wrong myth, by the way. I'll be very honest and blunt here. As a configurator, when you work for a product company, you get more salary than the implementers. And importantly, this is again, since you talked about the commercial part, but the second part is when you work as an implementer, you work for 4 different projects at the same time. But when you work as a configurator, you are responsible for maintaining one application for one organization. So work-life balance also. So I wanted to just clarify that as well, because I'm working at implementers side. I know the pain, by the way.
All right. Okay. Let's go to the next question. Oh, go ahead, Nirupa.
Just one last question. So I just wanted to see how the modules work. Like if you are a configurator, do you pretty much take care of all HCM modules, like maybe compensation, recruiting, talent management, etc.? Configurator tends to specialize in one of those modules. How does it generally work?
Okay, there is no specific formula to evaluate this, but it purely depends upon the number of employees that organization has and how big the team is. If the team members are in good numbers, then the organization might segregate based on the modules. But in commonly what I have seen, that organization says that, okay, you are configurator, so you do the configuration for entire HCM. So it purely depends upon the number of employees and the number of employees who are supporting Workday. So there is no specific answer to this. But yeah, what I've seen, like as a configurator, because HCM means you are touching about all the modules which are integrated with HCM. So HCM being the center module and all the other modules are associated with. So if you know HCM, then it is understood that you might know the process for other modules as well. And that is the reason any worker or employee wanted to stick with Workday. So they start with HCM because HCM is the foundation module to all the other modules. So if you know HCM, then chances are very high that you might also understand recruiting. You might also understand payroll. Yeah.
But then to be a payroll consultant or recruiting consultant, you have to be, they might want you to get certified in recruiting, learning.
Yeah.
Again, all of that stuff comes later. You start here first. Most of you are here for this training. So you want to start here, get certified, get the job, then move into compensation, benefits, recruiting, whatever you want to do. All right, let's take some more questions.
I didn't start with HCM. I've done report writer course, business process fundamentals, and finance fundamentals. And I wanted to get Workday Pro certification after that. So I'm just really trying to see what my next steps would be. And also, I'd like to know how long this HCM course would take if one was to sign up and pay $800 for it.
Okay. So you did the report writer course?
Yeah.
Okay. Before you started with the HCM course?
I have not done the HCM course at all, which is why I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. So
let's. Employment.
Well, that's fine.
Employment. I did the courses for report writer, business fundamental, business process fundamental, and finance fundamentals. So I wanted to become Pro certified, maybe P2P Workday Pro certification or something like that, as well as the HCM course.
Okay. Well, if you are looking into getting into HCM, this is the perfect course for you. Now, let me tell you something. When someone is getting into Workday, okay, our recommendation is always start at the foundation level. The foundation starts here, which is Workday HCM. So I'm just focused on the certification, but this has all the HCM basics. Okay. So you start from HCM, learning HCM basics, which this course is about. You get certified in HCM.
Yeah, thank you.
What was that?
I'm from a finance background, which is why I did the other finance courses first.
Right. No, I got it. I got this. I think you did P2P, C2C, and 2R, and then maybe accounting center, right? Right here. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah. I haven't done Workday Pro. I haven't got the Workday Pro certification, which was my next step for P2P.
Okay. Which one are you going for? Workday Pro R2R, C2C, P2P? P2P?
P2P.
Okay. Yeah. I would suggest, because we do finance as well, I would suggest after you're done with P2P, go for the R2R, C2C, and accounting center. That would put you in a very good place. Okay. Very, very good place. I work with over, quite a lot of consultants, senior consultants who are, instructors for us. We do projects on the side as well for customers who we work with. So a lot of these consultants who are certified in all four have a very, very good, opportunity in the market. But that's just my suggestion. But since you are in the finance side, go for the certification. Perfectly, go for that certification. You can get certified and then go to the next one, and then. But if you want to start in HCM, you can go for HCM as well. There's nothing wrong in that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Thanks for giving the details of this course and really helping us to understand why exactly it is important to go through the fundamentals of HCM, right? As we start our plan to start our journey in Workday, right? So I having only one broader question when it comes to my experience. As I was thinking in the chat earlier as well, I come with 10 plus years of experience in HR, where I have 5.
Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We're just launching some polls to understand where, we have this thing, what we do. We are very, very analytical about our, how we are delivering the training, how the trainer's delivery was. Did we cover everything? So that's why we run some polls. Take a minute to answer these questions. It just helps us a lot because we make our courses or programs or demos much better next time based on this. But anyways, sorry for the interruption. Go ahead with your question, please.
No problem, Alok. So I come from 10 plus years of experience in HR, but I have 5 years of end user of Workday, right? I was so much fascinated looking at the flexibility, what Workday brings in, and how much it is user-friendly reports, customized reports, the minute I ask for a report and things like that. So I just wanted to understand, switching from HR to Workday, now getting this, will this be considered starting my career from scratch, or is it something I can build from my existing experience, not compromising on my existing compensation, not going down but further to improve it?
And I'll let you answer this question because I know you're dying to answer this.
Yes, Alok. Thank you. So when you have already worked as an operation person and then we have already used Workday ecosystem as an end user, so obviously all those experience will be counted, because when you work as end user, so functionally you are clear. Okay. So as an organization, let's say I'm somebody who's new, wanted to implement Workday. So obviously I need somebody who brings value as a functional person. So you can play a vital role saying that, okay, when you are building a hire process, consider all of these processes. When you are building a termination offboarding process, consider these processes. So your experience will be counted. You already know Workday as an end user, means you know where are the areas of improvement. You can bring your experience there. And on top of that, if you are a configurator where you are configuring Workday application, you can bring all of these three concepts together, which will be a vital role for an organization. So as an organization, when I look out for somebody who knows Workday along with functional knowledge, then if I have to consider, I surely consider the person who has seen Workday as an end user, bringing operational value, and on top of that, having a configurational skills. So you don't have to start your journey from the scratch. You can bring your experience along with the configuration, and you can use or update the CV in that way that it matches the profile of a configurator. And yes, your profile will always be shortlisted when you bring all these three things together.
Okay, so I need not go with the entry level as an analyst or something, but I can go with certain experience and need not compromise on my compensation or the grades, right? Because I want Workday to be a boost for my career, right? So
yes, and exactly, to make sure that you also carry some of configuration experience. That is what the second 20 hour of the training, which will give you a hands-on experience. So even though when you go for an interview, you can bring all those configurational scenarios saying that, okay, this was the complex scenario where I worked on and I've implemented it. So that will always boost up your resume saying that, yes, you are not a fresher. You also comes up with the configurational skills, and you can use all the scenarios or the configuration what we did as part of our training in your interview, where you can consider yourself that you are carrying some sort of Workday configurational skill as well. So you don't have to compromise on any of the stuffs.
Awesome.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. If you have any further questions, just reach out, sales@zarantech.com. We will answer all your questions. Now, understand one thing. I keep on telling people this. Certification is very important. So if you're learning something for a job, obviously most of you here are trying to change that platform from Recruiter or Oracle HCM or PeopleSoft HCM or SAP or whatever. Learning this program, you will learn quite a lot in our program, but certification is important. When we refer you to the partner company, we are the only one who can do this. Okay. So if you are choosing any other company or whatever just to save cost, you are actually taking a risk with your career and time, because it's not right now. If you ask me what is important, money or time? Time. I bet you most of you will say the same thing. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. The market is amazingly good. I just did a research. I did some Workday offices in India. I was just doing Google. You see how many offices Workday is opening in India. Why? Why do you think they're opening so many offices in India? If you are not, just type in internship jobs in Workday. How many people have gotten? How many people have posted their internship jobs in Workday? The reason Workday is opening all these offices in India is because, first of all, talent is amazing. Cost is less. So they can do the development in India, just like SAP Labs. Now, when SAP Labs opened in Bangalore the first time, it was a small company, right? But the idea was to develop SAP's, program. The whole software with different features, different, all these tools and everything SAP has. But now SAP Labs India is number one, beating SAP Germany. Same is the case with Workday. Workday is doing the same thing. Workday is only going to increase in India like crazy. So learn, get certified, get into any company, customer company or partner company or support company, whatever jobs you can get that job. Learn, because the more you learn on the platform, the better you will get. And when you get better, guess what? Customers will come to you. Partners will come to you. Workday itself, you can apply to Workday itself. And use us, because we have a lot of knowledge on this. We have access to the community. We have access to partner portal. We are certifying people. So we know literally end to end what is Workday, how Workday works. Any other questions on this? Ask your questions, guys. We are here to answer. I don't see any hands raised. All right. Okay. Finish your PowerPoint? Okay,
Yes.
I'll start my share.
Yep. Is my screen visible?
Absolutely.
Yes. Since we talked about Workday, but obviously I see there are few people who are pretty new to Workday ecosystem or they are freshers. So for them, I'm covering what is Workday, and then we'll talk about this function, which is cloud native, to give you a broader understanding that what does this mean. So yes, HCM stands for Human Capital Management, which is a unified application. Now, what is unified? If you go to Workday website, you see that, okay, HCM is one of the module, and beside that, Workday is offering a lot of other modules: finance, school management, payroll. Then what does a unified keyword means? As an organization, I am implementing Workday HCM. And after 2 years down the line, I thought of also implementing HCM. Now imagine implementing only finance module would take, let's say, 10 months for an example. But when you have already implemented HCM, your HCM data will automatically be integrated with finance. Means you can use your HCM data to financial module. So what happens with this unified concept? That the time to implement Workday ecosystem is reduced. Okay, so it is a unified application. Yes, Workday is a cloud-based application where the data is stored as a centralized place. The reason why we are emphasizing more on Indian opportunities, because it is built on cloud. So if one has to work on Workday ecosystem, they can work from anywhere. Now, why we are targeting India? Because if you go to across the world, the headcount charges is pretty higher. And since Workday offers a cloud-based application, means no matter the consultant can sit at any place. And obviously, since we are more into technology, we have a lot of headcounts available. So obviously the cost to hire that employee will be less, and Workday application is easily available over cloud. So you just have to use your credentials and you can start working on it. Yes, when I say unified, Workday offers a lot of different application, talent, payroll, everywhere you can use it, because the Workday is considered as a single source of truth. So all your staffing environment, right from hiring to firing, all the data is associated in Workday. So you can build report, you can work on it. Then cloud native architecture. Now in an organization is also using a lot of different tools. Let's say, for example, using Microsoft Office. Organization is also using Slack or using third-party application. When you say this architecture, what does this means? That your Workday ecosystem is integrated with all of these different applications. So you can directly integrate your Workday with Slack. You can directly integrate your Workday with third-party application. That can be done, and we can also see, which is going to be a part of our session also, that how we can enable. The concept is called as Workday Anywhere. Means all the applications which are being used by the organization can be directly integrated with Workday. Yes, it is a real-time data. If I want to run a report, I just have to press one dashboard, and then it will give me a list of all the report which is available for my access. And yes, all are like in this world, we are talking about accessing data via mobile, because everyone is using and wanted to perform the action item over the mobile. And then Workday application can also be accessed from mobile. Yes, there has to be some setup needs to be done, but you can access your Workday application through mobile as well. Okay, so how are we going to start with core HCM fundamentals? So we are going to talk about the organization, how we should be creating an organization. Then organization was linked with staffing. If I am hiring let's say if I'm hiring an intern or if I'm hiring a fresher folks, obviously the process would be different. So we will talk about how to hire a different roles and responsibilities of the employee here in staffing model. Then when I say staffing model, my job and job family. Now this concept, jobs and job family, is very crucial when it comes to a pay review. So if I wanted to go for a pay review, obviously I have to have a fair distribution of my employee based on the role they do. We can see that part in job profiles and family. And obviously if I'm creating organization, if I'm talking about staffing an employee, if I'm talking about job profiles and family, it has to follow a certain business process, certain workflow. So that workflow, we will also do a hands-on experience of creating the process from scratch. So talking about hiring, promoting, applying for a time off or a offboarding process will part of our business process. Yes. So Workday user face interface, how are we going to talk about it? Because for all of you, the Workday interface would be different. How to navigate into the system, that is going to the first part. Yes, I talked about the a major complex piece configuring, but if you are not familiar with the navigation, then it becomes hard to understand how to navigate and start your Workday journey. So we will start with the Workday navigation, core concepts of basic navigation, how to navigate, key terminologies used in Workday, what is the difference between my task, how to identify notification. So just to give you a quick overview about it, let me just see if I can quickly log in onto the tenant, just to give you that how a navigation or what kind of information or a system we are going to have in place. Bear with me. Yes, here I am, and then I'm going to bring it here. As I mentioned, Workday is a cloud-based application, and this is the URL, and I have logged in as Heather Jennings. As I mentioned, Workday is we are not going to use any customer tenant. The environment what we are going to use is a implementation environment where the data you see is dummy data. So now this is a Workday ecosystem landing page. When we go and talk about the navigation, we'll talk about how to navigate from the search bar. Just a high level overview. When we kickstart our session, we'll start with this basic foundation. How to navigate into the system, what is inbox, what is notification, what are these worklets, how should we navigating to this worklet. We will cover all those parts in our Workday fundamental training. That is what it meant then, how you look out for global search, what is worklet, navigating to Workday, inbox, and notification. Yes, and guys, as I mentioned, we are not going to use Workday only as an end user. Whatever you see is configurable. What if you say that, no, I want to do a change in the configuration, I don't want this, or I want specific people to see that information. We will do all these things as part of our configurational skills. Yes. What approach we are going to follow? Because if I'm going to follow a Workday support model, that will not give any one of you a clear understanding that how should we going to go about it. So we are going to follow a implementation methodology where we will do all the configuration. So I'm going to emphasize more on the word implementation. You all will be getting your own tenant, which means you are responsible for maintaining the configuration what you are doing. And whatever configuration you are doing, we are going to use the same configuration throughout our training. So what does that mean? That means that, let's suppose for some reason you are not able to make to a session and you miss to do a configuration. So if you miss to do some configuration, that is eventually have an impact on your upcoming session. So whatever configuration we are going to build from the start, we are going to utilize same that till the time we are doing our hands-on experience. So that is what, even though you miss the session, you have recordings, we have a Q&A session, you can ask, and then you can make sure that you are up to the speed of the concept. Yes. So we will start with the understanding the architecture, how Workday architecture is built, how when we search, what happens at the background, how Workday fetch the information, how these data and tables are interlinked with each other. We will cover that a foundation to understand the difference between how a tenant is being there, what is implementation tenant, what is sandbox tenant, what is production, how the data is being updated in Workday, what is the object model, how data flows from Workday, what happens at the background when you enter some data or when you fetch a report, what happens. We will see that as part of our implementation. Yes, we will deep dive more about the multiple tenants, what Workday offers for one to do a testing or to configuration. We will deep dive here. We will start with navigation to understand if I give you an administrative access, how you should be starting with. And all of you are going to get an administrative access, means you are going to get all the admin access to, let's say, to enable a new feature or to implement or to configure a configuration or organization structure from the scratch. In this course, we are going to talk about the distinction between the position management. How are you going to hire an employee? What happens if I have to do a bulk hiring? How do I do that? What are the things I have to evaluate? We will do that as part of our implementation. So we will build the application right from the scratch, means from the navigation till doing the operations transaction. We will do that as part of Workday implementation. And in between, we will come across a lot of queries, concerns, errors, and we will resolve them by understanding the real-time scenarios. Yes, organization and foundation setup. When we talk about implementing Workday, organization is something which is the foundation to Workday. So we will deep dive to how do we configure company, cost center, then how are we going to group our employees, then how to maintain supervisory organization. Guys, these keywords are Workdays related. So if I'm using a keyword called supervisory organization, which means this is an organization, in simple terminology, it is a management hierarchy, who reports to who. So when we are implementing Workday, the organization is the foundation setup. From that, we are going to start doing our implementation. Then we will talk about how our staffing model is there, whether we are going to bulk hire the organization or we are going to go for an interview process. Everything will be done as part of our position management and job management. Then how we are going to structure. What if I am opening a new office in another country? How I'm going to incorporate that organization setup in my existing organization? That is, we are going to do in our foundation of our design, organization design. Yes, when it comes to staffing, workforce management, and job profile, this is also going to be part of our HCM training, where we will talk about what is the difference between an employee or a temporary worker. If I'm hiring an employee, my process will be different. If I'm hiring a temporary worker, my process will be different. How do we distinguish between them? How are we going to come up with a process? We are going to do that. Then job family, job profiles. If I'm applying for a position, whether that position is fitting to my roles and responsibility. If not, should the recruiter will be notified if I'm not matching with my roles and responsibility. All these algorithm we will have to configure as part of our HCM training. Then talking about what is headcount management and position management. Headcount management, all the existing employee in an organization. And position management, if I'm going to hire 20 employee in 2026, so all the future hires or a future open position is going to be part of my position management. Yes. Then we are going to talk about doing the transaction. Why we are building an organization structure, why we are talking about building the positions, to understand that if I have to hire an employee or if I have to do a promotion, what all things I have to consider. If I'm promoting an employee, what all things I have to consider? I have to consider tenure. I have to consider the role readiness. I have to see the compensation part of it. Then all of these analysis, and based on the analysis, we will do our process. We will cover our application there. And then finally, we're also going to talk about the mass transfers and acquiring a new organization and adding that organization into Workday ecosystem. Yes. Very important part, understanding the fundamentals of security. Now, what is security in Workday? Because Workday, we are going to give access to all our employees who are there in the organization. And all of these organizations are grouped under department. Let's say I am working for IT department, or I am part of payroll department, or I am managing HR department. So if you see what are these managers do, they will have a specific set of access to perform the action. And as part of our configuration, just to give you a real-time scenario to make this concept understandable, one organization says that we want managers to view the compensation of their reportees. Second organization say, I don't want our manager to view the compensation of their reportee. Just an example and a real-time scenario. Then you see two different organizations having two different approach for the same set of role. So how are we going to distinguish between the security concept for organization A and for organization B? How are we going to control the access? How are we going to give more access? How are we going to update the access of that user? All such things is going to be part of our security fundamentals, where we will create our role from the scratch, then adding access, view and modify access, and then granting access to our end user. Once our end user will be granted with the access, then only they can view the data or they can modify the data for worker in their organization. Okay, then why organizations are using Workday? Because if you see, the highlight is 60% of the Fortune 500 companies are using Workday as their ecosystem. Why they are using? Because they are finding the navigations in Workday is easier, configuration time is easier. Very good example here is, if I have to implement Workday for 10,000 employees, and on the other side, if I am implementing Oracle application for the same set of 10,000 employee, in Workday, you can implement in 6 months, wherein if I talk about implementing HCM Oracle for the same set of employee will take 18 months. So time to implement Workday is pretty fast, easy navigation, and the UI of the application is very important to understand that how I am going to navigate the application. So when I talk about configuration, I'm talking about configuring the workflows, business process, then security, actionable item. How I am going to, if I'm a manager, I want to promote my reportees, I can do from my own access. And then self-service capabilities. When I talk about self-service, I'm talking about applying for a leave, checking my learning, if I have any learning to complete, or I have to check my growth that, okay, I have been in the organization for 10 years. How is my growth? How often, or what is the tenure, or what is the timeline I've got promoted? So if you see here, your process, your security, self-services, actionable items are linked within Workday, which is your organization. So if you have getting the requirement and implemented your structure in right way, then the business processes will be checked correctly. Then security, you are going to give access depending upon your organization. So your business process, security, self-services is revolving around the setup you do. So imagine if my foundation is not done in correct way, then all of these four major factor will be impacted, because all of these things revolves around my organization structure. That is what we are starting with, the foundation of organization. If the organization is not correct, then all the upcoming sessions we are going to have will be a blocker for us, because if this is not correct, none of these features will be implemented correctly. Yes. Now, what you see that as part of our hands-on experience, what are we going to come up with? So initiating a job requisition, hire to fire, because I'm learning, or we are talking about HCM module. So when we say HCM, we talk about job requisitions. Then job requisition, how are we going to open a job? Then where I'm going to post my job. Is it going, I'm going to post my job on LinkedIn or any other job posting site? I can do that. Then once I've shortlisted my candidate, I am going to go for a onboarding process. I'm going to hire that employee. I'm going to give access to different application. If I am a new hire, as part of new hire, there are a lot of steps which are involved. And these onboarding steps varies from country to country, company to company. We will going to have that complex level of configuration when it comes to hire to fire setup. When we talk about mid-year compensation process, performance process, depending upon my performance, what hike I should be getting, feedbacks, everything is going to be part of our HCM part. And then very importantly, whatever changes I am doing, whatever processes I am building, the number of changes to the employee's profile I am building has to be associated with a report. If there is no report to track the detail, then organization will be of no use. So we will do end-to-end hands-on experience with the configuration part of the HCM part. Yes. Once you complete your training, what all things you're going to get? Important part, very important part to highlight, that you are going to get access to the recorded session for the 1 year. So yes, you have time, you can go back, circle back to the recordings. If you say that, okay, your security concept is not 100% clear, you can go back to the session, you can check. Centralized learning management system. There's a learning management system built in by us where you can go back, ask questions, share your experience, inform about your structure, and then people who are already worked on it would be giving you the information that, yeah, this is how you should do. Lifetime access to all the course materials you have. Then completed session PPT, assignments, hands-on experience lab, real-time world scenario, sample data to the work to do the configuration, and certification guide and official job preparation information. Yes, Alok did mention that how you should be preparing your job, going for an interview, and very important part, yes, Workday is a closed application. In case if you seek any assistance or you need any material or to understand the concept, then there is Workday community. Workday community is very specific to the people who are associated with customer or partner. And we are offering you Workday community access where you can leverage tons of data available over community, short videos explaining about the processes. And then important thing is like real-time scenario you can get when you subscribe with us. Yes. 24/7 Workday practice tenant, very important part. And I want to highlight this section is 24/7 Workday practice environment. I know we come from different time zone. So obviously some of you are working professional, some of you are a fresher to the organization where you can learn into Workday tenant, which is administrative access, full access to HCM module, real-time scenario, preloaded data sample, and then credentials are given to you where you can use the tenant for at any time to do your configuration, to do your testing, come up with your scenario, build the report, and then maintain your Workday tenant as your organization, what you're going to be built in the Workday ecosystem. Yep. Yes, your transformation outcomes. So yes, you will going to get Workday HCM Foundation Mastery, where we are going to cover the topic from the scratch, right from navigation, then implementation terminology, and then deployment methodology, that how are we going to deploy the application. I know concept, but I don't know how should I migrate my configuration from testing environment to production. We will cover that part as well. Consultants readiness. Yes, in this we are going to understand the business process, scenarios, how are we going to do a self-testing, validation, and then preparing the role for oriented jobs and certifications. Reporting and data handling capability. How are I'm going to create my report, creating a report from scratch, using different algorithm criteria to come up with a report. Now imagine you have data in your Workday ecosystem and your HR partner comes and says, hey, I wanted to know how many employees have completed 5 years and we have to give some sort of bonus to 5 years employees who have completed 5 years in the organization. Then people partner will come up with these ad hoc requests. And as a consultant, I have to come up with some report, and that sort of access and training we will be giving where you can create reports from the scratch, do a data load from scratch, and then come up with a dashboard for our C-levels. If I am a C-level, I don't want to go to each individual's profile. I simply want to run one dashboard and wanted to know that how many employees have completed their self-evaluation, how many managers have completed their manager evaluation. All such dashboards are going to be part of our HCM fundamental trainings. Then configurational skills. Yes, we are going to follow implementers approach where everything we are going to create from the scratch, right from getting the requirement, translating that requirement into Workday system, then getting the process, doing the UT, which unit testing. Then after UT, we will give our testing to our end users. And once we get a sign off from the end user, then we will move our configuration into a production environment. That is what we are going to cover. Workflows and security. We will understand what are the different types of security is there in Workday, how we should control it, how to maintain security. We can do that as part of our Workday workforce system. Okay, what will you will be able to do after the training? Very important part. Once you have completed the training with the business scenarios, then you can call yourself a Workday HCM functional consultant, where you can use all the concept what we have seen as part of our training, as part of our hands-on experience. You can do that. Importantly, if you are more into reporting's calculated field, you can even call yourself a techno-functional training. So the data or the training we are going to provide comprises of two parts. Yes, I'll go back one more slide. Okay, so here, Workday functional training we are doing, consultants readiness, configurational, security. These four parts are part of my functional training, functional understanding of Workday ecosystem. Here, reporting and data handling capabilities are part of my technical side of Workday. So if I am able to create the report, fields, dashboards, then I can call myself a Workday techno-functional consultant, where I am taking care of functional part along with the technical part of Workday. So you can also call yourself a Workday techno-functional consultant. Then HRIS analyst, people who wanted to start with Workday ecosystem, then they can call themselves, or they'll be called as HRIS analyst or Workday analyst. Or let's suppose you are working as an operation and you know the functional part of Workday, then you can even call yourself as a business analyst who can support the implementation and the rollout of the process. Yep. Yes, the proof is in the result. If you see that we have completed 80% or 85% of the placement within 3 months of completing the training, which means you can look out for an opportunity right after completing the session, or when we complete the 85% of the training, you can start building your resume, start applying for a job, and meanwhile we can also prepare you how to handle interviews, what kind of job to target, how you should update your resume. Important point, 95% of the people who have trained from us are 95% of the success rate for the certification. And yes, if you talk about the CSAT score, it is around 4.9% of our training. Yes. Now, your part to official Workday HCM Masterclass training. What we are going to do, practice and prepare. So we will first understand the concept from the granular level, and then we will do a practice during our training. So each session is associated with the assignment. So after the session, we are going to have an assignment. You have to complete that assignment. Once you complete the assignment, then we go for a next concept. Next concept will be using your assignment. So even though if you have not completed, make sure that you need to complete all your session so that you can complete the subsequent processes. Yes, then there is mentor and refine, one-to-one mentoring assessment, your exam readiness. We have exam testing portal where you can test your skills, whatever you have learned, to see that whether you can clear that. If there are some issues or concerns related to one of the topic, then you can bring that into a session and we'll be happy to cover that as part of our activity. Yes, and importantly, master access, you will be getting tenant access, community access, all the materials, lab assistance, and on top of that, I'm going to be evaluate your configuration, whatever you're doing as part of your activity of HCM training. Yes. Now, important part. Why to get certificate? Yes, I know, I am aware of the concept I have done. I know the implementation approach also, but why certification is needed? Now, if you might see the opportunities, some organizations say that, okay, we wanted to look out for a consultant who are certified. So if you are certified, which will be a career enhancement where you can apply for a job where you are certified, then you will be able to understand the concept and start directly get you into a organization. Then validation of a skill, obviously, if you are certified, which also gives you that you are a Workday consultant, you know all the concept, you have cleared the certification, then up-to-date knowledge, competitive advance, network opportunity, and importantly, professionally recognition. Once you are certified, which means you know all the concept, you have cleared Workday exam, and as Alok mentioned, that Workday certifications are not that easy. You have to use all the concepts, or if you are not familiar with any of the concept, the chances are very low because the passing percentage is 80%. So if you are scoring 80%, then only you are going to get a Workday certification. And importantly, once you are certified, then you can solve complex problems and come up with a solution. Or if not, then also you can come up with some workaround to make sure that your stakeholders or your customers are being requirement, what you are getting from the customer are being configured into Workday ecosystem. Yes. Why zarantech? Because you might have seen we have a lot of materials published over LinkedIn. You can check with the certified trainer. You can see the number of people who have got certified from us, what kind of job they are doing, dedicated tenant, and complete course-wise PPT, lab assessment, and one year access to video. And you see that we are there in the organization since 2009, and we have trained around close to 30,000 plus students globally. And our rating in Google is 4.5. Support, there is a dedicated support team in case if you stuck and need immediate assistance. So we have a technical team who can respond and who can support you in whenever you are having any issues or queries. And finally, we are also going to give you a full refund in case you feel that, hey, there is something is not working out for you, and then that we can do that part. Yes, coming back to the job market, yes, we are coming from global, and you see that professional services, consulting, then healthcare organization, retail. So you name it, you get it. All the type of organizations or businesses there in the organization, all of them. And very important, if you want to see the list of customers who are using Workday ecosystem, just go to www.com, and from there you can see the list of customers, what complexity they will give you a scenario that, okay, this was our use case, and Workday is able to update us or give us the information, or they were able to resolve our query and made our life easier. So job is coming from across all the industries, right from financial services, banking, technology, healthcare, retail, or even professional services and consulting. Yes, a complete ecosystem for your growth services. Yes, if you want to start your career with Workday ecosystem, so zarantech is the right place. Why it is right place? Because 24/7 online platform is there, dedicated community where all the alumni of our organizations are there, going to share you a real-time scenario, exclusive job put, and the alumni network I have mentioned, and the support material, right from preparing your resume, preparing you for a Q&A for the interview, and also to understand that what kind of role you should apply to get an opportunity. Yes. I'll take a pause here to see that if you have any queries or concerns or anything, any point to discuss, I'll happy to take that questions from you all. Let me go over the chat. Does this include Workday certification? No. So I see that team has replied. Okay, it's better that, guys, if you have any queries, raise your hand, and then maybe I can take that question. Can you elaborate? I see there is one good question, because now everyone is talking about AI. There is a question that, is a career in Workday AI proof? Like, can you elaborate? What does that mean? And then maybe I can happy to take this. No, Workday Studio is not going to be part of this program because Workday Studio requires another 40 hours of training and which is purely technical. And again, the prerequisite for Workday Studio is also going to be HCM. So if you are not aware of HCM concept, then you are not eligible to go for Workday Studio. So if you are 100% clear on the HCM fundamentals, then you should go for it. But when you say integration, then there is a prerequisite that you should know XML, XSLT, integration concept. If you are familiar with that, then only you can do. But as part of HCM fundamentals training, integration is not going to be part of it. But we are going to have an overview of Workday integration, that what kind of integration it is, how we should build it, or how Workday Studio looks like. We can give you that overview, but it is a separate training for 40 hours another. So there is one question. I'll stop the screen sharing, but I'll take one question, which is talking about Workday agent. Yes. So when you, let's say when you are working for customer side, then Workday is coming up with a lot of agents. So Workday Help is very good example where Workday is giving you AI, where you can put questions and Workday will automatically give you an answer. So there are a lot of agents which are built by Workday. And in case if you have any specific business case to cover, then yes, there is a Workday Orchestrate, which is a new integration tool which Workday has built up, and you can build your own AI application using that agent. So yes, if you have a business case, we can come up with that, we can talk, but there are a lot of agents which Workday is already built and are there for available for customers to take and use. Can implementation part of Workday be automated by AI? Implementation can be done by providing. I think this is too early to talk about this because I haven't seen anything where AI is doing the implementation for Workday, because when you say Workday configuration, it requires some sort of configuration skills. And when you say AI, I haven't seen this. It's too early to talk about this, that an AI agent can build the implementation. No. There are agents which will evaluate your business processes, evaluate your security, and tell you that, hey, if you do this optimization, your tenant will run faster. There are a lot of agents which are available, but at the moment, I don't see anything which is talking about implementing Workday directly through AI. Yep. Over to you, Alok.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. All right, I'm going to talk about the learning management system we have once you sign up with our training program. Can you see my screen first?
Yes.
Awesome. So once you sign up with our training program, you will get access to a learning management system, which is going to look like this. You will have a site. Here I'm showing you this one as a sample, and you will have full access to this one. Okay. And you can access this from any device, your cell phone, your laptop, your desktop, tablets, as long as you're logged into your Gmail ID. As you know, I'm already logged in. You can access this. This is just the home page. Your tenant access will be here. One click, you can access the tenant. And after one click, you have to enter your user ID and password. Curriculum will be posted here, just like the one here. This is for the cohort. I'm just showing you right now. Fundamentals is covered like this, core HCM and job readiness program. Material section, I will come back to this in a little bit, and then I'll show you other things, okay? Your Workday HCM certification details, everything is posted here. What type of questions you get, all of that good stuff is posted here. You can go over this. There's a lot of information on these certification questions. You can go see this, multiple choice questions, assessment, scenario-based questions, all of this stuff we have prepared to help you clear your certification. Lots of videos, lot of information related to certification is posted as part of the LMS. Video recording, every session, including the session you're attending right now, is recorded, and the recording will be posted in your learning management system right after your session end. Meeting links, just like the one you received for the session, every meeting link will be posted here. You just click the link, attend the session. Attendance is very important to us. We will take the attendance and post it here, how your attendance is going. Your trainer, your trainer goes over the attendance and takes a look at it. It's very important to them, to you, everybody else. We ask you to have at least a 90% or more attendance. If you cannot attend a session, video recordings are always there. Zarantech prepares all their materials in-house. We don't use Workday's logos, or we don't even use Workday's materials. Like a lot of other companies do, we don't. They will use Workday's materials to do the training, we don't. You will never see a Workday's logo except when we are in the tenant. So I'm just opening this up so you get an idea. I'm just going to open just one PowerPoint just to show you. Our PowerPoints are going to look like this. Again, Zarantech's logo, everything is Zarantech watermarked. PowerPoints are only used as a guide for the module or the session, but 80% of your training is going to happen on the tenant itself. Assessments, again, just opening one. Take a look at the assessment. That's how it's going to be. And your lab activity document. Just opening one more, just like that. So you will see all the lab activities step by step, what to do, what not to do, all of this. Your trainer is going to refer you to this document, be like, hey, can you do this, this, and then you just do that. That's about it. Case studies are posted here. So again, very detailed. So we want you to do one of these case studies. One of this will be done by your trainer in the class end to end, which we already talked about. Any material shared by the trainer is always here. They will share all these materials straight up here. You can view it, download it, everything is right here. All right. And yeah, I think I covered everything. This is how a learning management system works. If you have any questions, you can always ask that in the session. The schedule, everything is posted here. Meeting links are there. So you always go to the meeting link, attend the session. We normally ask you to have a calendar reminder for yourself for those meetings so you don't miss it. But yeah, Workday weekly maintenance times are mentioned here. So this time when the tenant will be done. One of the most important things I want to tell you is that our tenants are provided 24/7, not like other companies. They provide you slotted access, meaning, you are going to have access from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and that's it, because they share one tenant with 100 students or whatever. We don't. One person, one tenant, 24/7, 3 months. Any questions on this? If you have questions, you can ask. This is our learner community. If you're active on LinkedIn, we ask you to sign up and log into the learner community because there's a lot of information we post here. We have 26,000 followers. We post a huge amount of content. You will not find this kind of content anywhere. All of this stuff is posted here, so it helps you, grow in that career. All right, since they don't have any questions, I think it's about time. Hope we have answered all your questions. I don't see any question in the chat anywhere. So we will go ahead and conclude your session. If you want to say some few words, go ahead.
Yeah, though I'm looking forward for them to in the session, but yeah, feel free to reach out to us for any queries, concerns. Email IDs have already been shared over the chat. In case you come up with any questions later, feel free to reach out to us in that case. But thank you so much, guys, for the session, and then see you on the other side.
All right. Take care now.
Yep. Bye-bye.